Okay, welcome to part two. So the part two, we're going to show that the bore and stroke of the LS3 and the LS7. So the LS3 has a 4.65 inch bore. So when the cylinder heads, your length of the bore and diameter, one end to the other, is 4.065 inches. The bore in the LS7 has a 4.125 inches, so it goes by 60 thousandths inch wider. So you figure in some series, even though it's a different block, you think will be stronger or weaker, in case people think it's weaker. Besides that point, LS3 with that bore, they have a 3.622 inch stroke. So we're only going to go down 3.622 inches and back up, right? LS7 has a 4 inch stroke, and they're going to go all the way down 4 inches further and have a larger displacement as one of the ways. Now, there's a talk saying, I get it, 51 cubic inches, you have more, by 0.3 compression ratio higher, right? You think the LS3 is not going to make it? Here's one thing I want to show you guys. And we'll discuss it. Let's go back drawing our bores again. Cylinder bores. One will be the LS2, one was the LS3. So on the combustion chambers, showing that valve going intake and exhaust valves, right? So regardless, our cylinder heads, okay? Regardless of being rectangle ports, so we're going to make this one LS2, this one LS3. Safely, on the LS2, we can get near that 700 thousandths. We're going to be able to have a higher lift to let more air in, okay? LS3 is at 6.5 inches, which is the same as the LS, as you can see, as the LS7 does. 6.5 inches. 0.65 inches, okay? Now, what does that mean? So, from piston to valve, you safely go 700 thousandths. On the LS2 has 64 cc's. LS3 has 68 cc's. Okay? Now, the less cc's you have, the higher the compression ratio. Right? So, the next thing we're going to do is, even though it has a 650 thousandths inch lift with 68 cc's on the combustion chamber on the LS3, the LS2 has a smaller combustion chamber or smaller volume, gives a higher compression ratio than the LS, higher compression ratio from the LS2 than the LS3. So, we're going to be using LS2 heads to slap onto the LS3. Since the LS2 and the LS3 are the 6-liter iron blocks, their cylinder heads are interchangeable. You can slap them on. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to be using that same valve lift we did on that combustion chamber with that valve lift for our piston, with piston clearance going up and down. Since we're at 700 thousandths, we're going to go and actually go back to, you can go check out in the past videos, how we milled the LS2 heads to compete with that LS3. Now we're going to be using that same concept. Since the LS3 has flat top pistons, we'll have 0 cc's on the flat top pistons. We'll have the same clearance as the LS2. So what are we doing? We're just going to shave our heads off 40 thousandths, just like that LS2. 40 thousandths. Okay. So what does that do? Well, let's make that little, like we shave the heads off like a milling machine. Smaller compression. We're still going to get that 660 thousandths inch lift to accept that stage 3 cam we put on the comparison to the LS2 and the LS3.